The Zanari watched Earth and laughed, mocking humans as primitive apes, until the day they witnessed the true power lurking in the planet's oceans. When the technologically advanced Zanari first discovered Earth, they saw it as nothing more than a backwater planet filled with savages. The Zanari's lead scientist, Sagan, scoffed at humanity's laughable attempts at technology and their clear lack of spacefaring capabilities. As the Zanari High Council debated the merits of making first contact versus simply leaving the undeveloped planet to its own devices, the arrogant aliens had no idea of the incredible power they were overlooking right beneath the waves. Earth's oceans contained secrets and untapped potential the Zanari were completely oblivious to. Brilliant human marine biologist Nicholas Thompson was busy conducting research in the deepest reaches of the Mariana Trench using a state-of-the-art submersible. Thompson discovered a strange bioluminescent organism unlike anything seen before on Earth. But as he worked to collect samples of the mysterious life form, a sudden energy beam ensnared his submersible, forcefully pulling it from the crushing ocean depths into the belly of a massive alien ship. Face to face with the Zanari for the first time, Thompson was interrogated by Sagan and the other aliens about Earth's technology, weapons, and military forces. The arrogant Sagan dismissed the entire human race as a primitive species that posed no threat to Zanari dominance. But Thompson sensed their overconfidence, and he would not forget it. Even as the aliens sent the human back to Earth with an ominous warning not to interfere in their plans, the seeds of their downfall were already being sown. Thompson shared his harrowing experience and findings with world leaders, pleading for them to prepare for an impending alien threat. But in their arrogance and complacency, many dismissed the marine biologist as a delusional crackpot. All the while, the Zanari were mobilizing right under humanity's nose, establishing hidden bases to analyze Earth's resources and search out any defensive vulnerabilities. The aliens began secretly abducting humans for torturous experimentation and enslaving others to labor in building their staging grounds for invasion. Determined to uncover the truth, Thompson led a covert team of scientists and soldiers to investigate the strange disappearances and sightings cropping up worldwide. What they found was chilling, undeniable proof of a massive Zanari incursion already underway on Earth. The team infiltrated one of the alien bases and saw firsthand the horrifying scope of the Zanari's advanced technology and military might. Thompson barely escaped with his life to bring the dire findings before the United Nations. With this new evidence, Earth's militaries finally mobilized in a bid to root out the Zanari invaders. Though they managed to destroy several alien bases, the Zanari's technological superiority quickly turned the tables as a brutal war erupted across the globe. From his war fleet in orbit, Sagan sneered as his forces inflicted heavy casualties and seized control of Earth's major cities. Humanity's feeble armies were clearly no match for Zanari might. As Thompson and the remaining human leaders took shelter in hidden bunkers to try and devise some last-ditch strategy to save Earth, all seemed lost. The Zanari had crushed humanity under their heel, and Sagan's victory was all but assured. But Thompson had an idea, one last desperate plan to turn the tide of the war. He had noted the Zanari's single glaring vulnerability, their utter dismissal of Earth's oceans as a serious threat. The aliens had made a fatal mistake in overlooking the power of the world they sought to conquer. The final battle for Earth was about to begin, and it would be fought in the unforgiving depths humans knew better than anyone. As the Zanari would soon learn, it was about to be the last mistake they would ever make. Deep within the bowels of his hidden bunker, Nicholas Thompson hunched over a glowing screen, his eyes darting across the real-time data streaming in from the global network of submersible drones. Each drone carried a precious payload, the strange bioluminescent organism he had discovered in the Mariana Trench, the key to humanity's last stand against the Zanari invaders. "All right, people, this is it," Nicholas said, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "We've got one shot at this. Let's make it count." With a few quick keystrokes, he initiated the drone deployment sequence. Hundreds of sleek torpedo-shaped vessels slipped silently into the ocean depths, their advanced tracking systems locked onto the Zanari ships and bases scattered across the planet. As the drones neared their targets, they split open, releasing swarms of the glowing microorganisms into the water. The creatures quickly latched onto the Zanari hulls and structures, their bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with an eerie light. At first, the Zanari paid little heed to the strange phenomenon, but as the organisms began to multiply exponentially, spreading across their ships like a luminous cancer, the aliens realized the severity of their mistake. In his command ship orbiting Earth, Sagan stared in disbelief at the readouts before him. The Zanari's advanced alloys and technology, once thought indestructible, were being eaten away by the voracious microbes. Systems were failing, hulls were breaching, and ships were going dark all across the planet. "Impossible," Sagan muttered, his arrogance crumbling in the face of this unforeseen threat. "How could we have overlooked this?" As the Zanari forces reeled from the devastating biological attack, Earth's militaries seized the opportunity. Equipped with their own submersible drones, human strike teams launched a coordinated assault on the weakened alien forces. Nicholas himself led a daring underwater mission, piloting a state-of-the-art submersible into the heart of a massive Zanari base hidden deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Guided by the bioluminescent trails left by the microorganisms, his team navigated the twisting corridors of the alien facility, planting explosive charges at critical junctures. "Fire in the hole!" Nicholas shouted as they retreated to a safe distance. Moments later, a series of deafening explosions rocked the base, setting off a chain reaction that tore through the power core. The entire structure imploded, collapsing in on itself in a rush of churning water and debris. As the Zanari forces crumbled under the relentless human counterattack, Sagan had no choice but to order a full retreat. The once mighty alien fleet limped away from Earth, their ships scarred and ravaged by the tiny life forms they had so foolishly underestimated. In the aftermath of the war, Nicholas and his team emerged from the oceans as heroes, hailed by a grateful world as the saviors of humanity. But even as the celebrations echoed across the globe, Nicholas knew that this victory was only the beginning. Appointed as the head of a new global task force dedicated to studying and protecting Earth's oceans, Nicholas vowed to continue his search for the hidden wonders and potential weapons that lurked beneath the waves. The Zanari had made the mistake of dismissing Earth's greatest asset, its vibrant and mysterious seas. Nicholas would not make the same error. But light years away, in the cold depths of space, a bitter and vengeful Sagan plotted his return. Stripped of his rank and exiled by the Zanari High Council, he gathered a loyal band of followers, united in their desire to crush the upstart planet that had defied them. As Nicholas and his team began to investigate the disturbing reports of strange energy signatures and disappearances near the ruins of the Zanari bases, they were unaware that the seeds of a new conflict were already being sown. The battle for Earth had been won, but the war was far from finished. Years rolled by as Nicholas Thompson threw himself into his work, leading Earth's global task force with relentless dedication. Deep beneath the waves, his team uncovered a menagerie of bizarre and potentially dangerous life forms. "Log this one," Nicholas instructed, peering at a writhing mass of tentacles on the submersible's view screen. "Class 3 threat potential. We'll need to develop countermeasures." His second-in-command, Dr. Amelia Chen, nodded and tapped away at her console. "That makes 147 new species cataloged this month alone. The oceans never cease to amaze." But amazement was tinged with paranoia for Nicholas. Every discovery, every strange reading from the depths, made him wonder, were the Zanari truly gone? "We need to push harder on those sonic disruption fields," he told Amelia. "If they come back, we have to be ready." Across the vast emptiness of space, Sagan seethed with barely contained rage. Cast out by his own people, he'd gathered a cadre of loyal followers and poured every resource into studying the bioluminescent organisms that had led to his downfall. "Increase power to containment field 7, he barked at a subordinate. In the chamber before him, a pulsing mass of blue-green light writhed and expanded. "Soon," Sagan muttered. "Soon we will have our revenge." Back on Earth, Nicholas frowned at the latest sensor readings. These energy spikes are getting stronger. And look at this pattern. They all seem to be converging on the Mariana Trench. That's where you first encountered the bioluminescent organisms, right? Amelia asked. Nicholas nodded grimly. Prep the Leviathan. We're going down there ourselves. The sleek submersible sliced through the inky blackness of the deep ocean. As they descended into the yawning chasm of the trench, Nicholas felt a chill run down his spine. My God, Amelia breathed as the Leviathan's lights illuminated a massive structure. Is that... A Zanari base, Nicholas confirmed. But how? We destroyed them all. They docked cautiously, entering the seemingly abandoned facility. Inside, they found labs filled with samples of the bioluminescent organism, and worse. They've been experimenting on it, Nicholas realized, examining readouts on an alien console, trying to control its growth, its behavior. Suddenly, lights flared to life around them. Screens flickered on, revealing a face Nicholas had hoped never to see again. Welcome back, Nicholas, Sagan's voice dripped with malice. I've been waiting for you. As the exiled Zanari leader monologued about his plans for galactic domination, Nicholas and his team raced back to the Leviathan. They barely escaped as the base rumbled to life, disgorging a terrifying armada. Breaching the surface, they were met with chaos. Zanari ships swarmed overhead, raining destruction on coastal cities. But the true horror was in the water. Massive, mutated versions of the bioluminescent organism, devouring everything in their path. This is worse than last time, Amelia said, voice shaking as they watched San Francisco crumble. How do we fight this? Nicholas gripped the submersible's controls, mind racing. We need to understand these creatures better than Sagan does. It's our only chance. He set course for their main research facility, praying they'd find answers before it was too late. Nicholas Thompson stared at the microscope display, his eyes wide with realization. It's not just one organism, he breathed. It's millions of them working together. Dr. Chen leaned in, adjusting the focus. You're right. Look at how they're synchronizing their movements. Nicholas nodded grimly. That's how Sagan's controlling them. He's found a way to manipulate their collective behavior. Outside the lab, chaos reigned. Reports flooded in of major cities crumbling under waves of bioluminescent destruction. The organism devoured everything in its path, growing larger with each passing hour. Conventional weapons are useless, General Harris growled, pounding his fist on the briefing room table. We need a new strategy, and fast. Nicholas paced the room, mind racing. Suddenly, he stopped. What if we could break their synchronization, force them back into individual harmless microbes? The team worked tirelessly, developing a disruptive nanobot capable of interfering with the organism's collective behavior. But as they celebrated their breakthrough, a new problem emerged. We can't penetrate the biomass, Dr. Chen reported. It's too dense. Nicholas knew what had to be done. He recruited Captain Emma Ramirez and her team of elite Marine operatives for a high-stakes mission to the Mariana Trench. As their submersibles descended into the abyss, Zanari warships appeared on their sensors. Evasive maneuvers, Ramirez shouted as energy beams lanced through the water around them. A furious underwater battle erupted. Human vessels darted between towering pillars of bioluminescent growth, trading fire with Sagan's forces. Nicholas gripped the controls of his submersible, watching as Ramirez's team fought valiantly to clear a path. But it wasn't enough. They couldn't get close to the organism's core. There's only one way, Nicholas said softly. He locked eyes with Ramirez on the interface. Get your team clear. I'm going in. Before anyone could stop him, Nicholas gunned the engines. His submersible shot forward, plowing directly into the heart of the pulsing, glowing mass. The impact shattered the vessel, releasing its payload of nanobots deep within the organism's structure. For agonizing minutes, nothing seemed to change. The bioluminescent horror continued to spread across the planet's surface. But then, almost imperceptibly at first, cracks began to form in its cohesion. Sagan watched in disbelief as his bioweapon began to crumble. No! He roared. Fall back! We'll find another way! The Zanari fleet retreated, leaving Earth's defenders to mop up the remaining threats. As the immediate danger passed, the true scope of the devastation became clear. Entire coastlines had been reshaped, cities reduced to rubble. In the months that followed, Nicholas threw himself into his work with renewed vigor. He scoured the oceans for new resources, potential weapons against the Zanari. But even as humanity rebuilt, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. "We need to be ready," he told his team, poring over plans for off-world colonies. "Next time, we might not be so lucky." As Nicholas stared out at the vast, mysterious sea, he knew the final battle was yet to come. And when it did, Earth would need every advantage it could get. Nicholas Thompson stood at the viewport of the Oceanic Research Station, his eyes fixed on the ethereal glow emanating from the hydrothermal vents below. The years since the bioluminescent attack had aged him, etching lines of worry across his face. Yet his gaze remained sharp, focused on the swirling currents that concealed Earth's latest hope. "Dr. Chen, status report on specimen VQ7, Nicholas called out, not turning from the view. Amelia Chen's voice crackled over the intercom. "VQ7 is showing unprecedented levels of bioelectric output, sir. We've never seen anything like it." Nicholas nodded, a spark of excitement cutting through his weariness. "I'm heading down to Observation Deck C. Meet me there in 5. As he strode through the station's corridors, Nicholas couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had plagued him since they'd first discovered the Voltasquids. These massive cephalopods, with their ability to generate and control electrical currents, represented a potential game-changer in Earth's defenses. But every breakthrough brought them one step closer to another confrontation with the Zanari. The observation deck hummed with activity as Nicholas entered. Scientists huddled around monitors, excitedly discussing the latest data. Through the reinforced glass, he could see VQ7, a colossal, undulating mass of tentacles and bioluminescent patches. "Look at this, sir," Dr. Chen said, gesturing to a nearby screen. "VQ7 isn't just generating electricity. It's communicating with the others using complex electromagnetic pulses." Nicholas leaned in, studying the readouts. "Can we decipher any of it?" "Not yet, but we're working on—" A deafening alarm cut through the air, drowning out Dr. Chen's words. Red emergency lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. "Intruder alert, all personnel to secure stations," a computerized voice blared. Nicholas's hand flew to his communicator. "Control room, report." "Sir, we've detected multiple breaches in the outer hull," a panicked voice responded. "It's the Zanari." Nicholas's blood ran cold. He'd always known this day might come, but not so soon. Not before they were ready. "Initiate evacuation protocol Delta," he ordered, "and get me a secure line to Emma Ramirez." But before he could reach his second-in-command, the observation deck's door exploded inward in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Zanari soldiers poured through the opening, their alien weapons trained on the stunned humans. "Nobody move!" a harsh voice commanded. A tall, scarred Zanari stepped forward, Zoran, Sagan's most trusted lieutenant. Nicholas raised his hand slowly, his mind racing. How had they breached the station's defenses so easily? "Dr. Thompson," Zoran sneered, "your reputation precedes you. I'm afraid you'll be coming with us, you and your fascinating new pets." As Zanari soldiers began herding the scientists toward the exit, Nicholas caught a glimpse of VQ7 through the observation window. The massive creature's tentacles writhed in agitation, its bioluminescent patches pulsing with increasing intensity. "You have no idea what you're dealing with," Nicholas warned, but Zoran merely laughed. "Oh, but we do. And soon the power of these creatures will belong to the Zanari Empire." Nicholas was shoved roughly toward the door, his heart pounding. As they marched him through the corridors, he could hear the sounds of battle echoing through the station. He prayed Emma and the others had managed to escape. Suddenly, a violent tremor rocked the entire structure. Alarms blared as the station's integrity was compromised. Water began to seep through cracks in the walls and floor. In the chaos that followed, Nicholas saw his chance. He elbowed his captor in the midsection and sprinted down a side passage, ducking energy blasts from Zanari weapons. After him, Zoran roared. Nicholas raced through the flooding corridors, his mind focused on one goal, reaching the emergency submersibles. As he ran, he keyed in the station's self-destruct sequence on his wrist computer. He couldn't let the Zanari get their hands on their research or the Voltasquids. He burst into the docking bay, relief washing over him as he saw Emma Ramirez and a group of scientists already prepping a submersible for launch. "Nicholas," Emma called out, "hurry!" He sprinted toward the vessel, Zanari troops hot on his heels. As he leapt aboard, Emma slammed the hatch shut and punched the launch sequence. The submersible shot out of the docking bay and into the dark ocean beyond. Through the viewports, Nicholas watched as explosions ripped through the research station, taking with it years of work and, hopefully, the Zanari intruders. "We need to get to the backup facility," Nicholas said grimly, "and pray the Voltasquids escaped in the chaos." As their vessel streaked through the inky depths, Nicholas knew the real battle was just beginning. Sagan was back, and Earth needed to be ready. "Set course for the Mariana Trench," he ordered. "It's time to accelerate Project Aqua Citadel." The Aqua Citadel rose from the abyssal plain of the Mariana Trench, a gleaming testament to human ingenuity. Nicholas Thompson stood at the viewport of the main research hub, watching as robotic construction drones swarmed around the facility's outer shell. The reinforced alloy panels clicked into place with precision, each one designed to withstand the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. Inside the sprawling complex, Dr. Chen hunched over a control panel, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. "Containment Chamber 7 is ready for the next Voltasquid specimen," she called out. Nicholas nodded, his eyes fixed on the massive tank before them. Within, a Voltasquid undulated gracefully, its tentacles pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Electrodes dotted its skin, feeding a constant stream of data to the surrounding monitors. "How's the bioelectric interface coming along?" Nicholas asked, stepping closer to examine the readouts. Dr. Chen's face lit up with excitement. "We've made a breakthrough. Watch this." She tapped a series of commands, and a small submersible drone entered the tank. The Voltasquid's tentacles twitched, and suddenly, the drone's lights flickered to life. It began to move in perfect sync with the creature's movements. "Incredible," Nicholas breathed. "They're actually controlling our technology." As they discussed the implications of this development, alarms blared throughout the facility. Nicholas sprinted to the command center, where a holographic display showed a massive ion storm brewing above the surface. "Sir, our long-range sensors are going haywire," a technician reported, his voice tight with tension. Nicholas's eyes narrowed. "This is it. Sagan's making his move." He keyed in the facility-wide comm system. "All personnel, this is not a drill. Prepare for imminent attack." In the training arena, the newly formed Aquatic Defense Force sprang into action. Soldiers donned advanced diving suits, their movements fluid and practiced. Others manned the controls of sleek submersibles, weapons systems humming to life. Despite their preparations, Sagan's strike force hit them like a tidal wave. Zanari ships materialized from the murky depths, their energy weapons carving through the Aqua Citadel's outer defenses. Nicholas raced through the corridors, barking orders into his comm unit. "Seal off the containment chambers. We can't let them get to the Voltasquids." But it was too late. A massive explosion rocked the facility, and Zanari troops poured through the breach. Nicholas watched in horror as they stormed the Voltasquid chambers, subduing the creatures with specialized stun weapons. "Emma!" he shouted, spotting his second-in-command among the chaos. "Fall back to the secondary command post." Before she could respond, a Zanari energy blast struck her square in the chest. Emma crumpled to the ground, stunned but alive, as the invaders swarmed around her. Nicholas's blood boiled as he watched the Zanari drag Emma and several captured Voltasquids toward their waiting ships. He sprinted to the nearest submersible bay, rallying every available soldier along the way. "Let's move," he ordered, leaping into the command seat of a sleek, shark-like vessel. "We're not letting them get away with our people or our research." The pursuit was relentless. Nicholas's team weaved through the treacherous underwater terrain, dodging energy blasts and chunks of debris. Ahead, Sagan's ships darted between towering rock formations, their engines straining against the intense pressure. As they approached the thermal vent field, Nicholas saw his chance. "Release the microdrones," he commanded. A cloud of tiny metallic objects swarmed from the human submersibles, latching onto the captured voltasquids. The creatures, sensing an opportunity, unleashed a storm of bioelectric energy. Amplified by the drones, the discharge tore through Sagan's ships like lightning. Nicholas watched in awe as Zanari vessels imploded, crushed by the immense pressure they could no longer withstand. Through the chaos, he spotted a single escape pod jettisoning from Sagan's command ship, streaking toward the surface. With the immediate threat neutralized, Nicholas turned his attention to rescue operations. He carefully maneuvered his submersible alongside the damaged Zanari vessel containing Emma and the other captives. As they began the journey back to the Aqua Citadel, Nicholas surveyed the destruction around them. The facility's outer structures were in ruins, with entire sections exposed to the crushing depths. The cost of victory had been high, but they had prevailed. Emma, shaken but recovering from the stun blast, met Nicholas's gaze. "What now?" she asked, her voice hoarse. Nicholas's eyes hardened as he considered their next move. The Zanari threat loomed larger than ever, and he knew this was only the beginning. Nicholas stood in the control room of the newly reinforced Aqua Citadel, his eyes scanning the holographic displays that surrounded him. The room hummed with activity as technicians monitored the network of AI-controlled sentry drones patrolling the surrounding waters. "Status report on the outer perimeter," Nicholas barked, his voice tight with tension. A young technician responded, her fingers flying across a control panel. "All clear, sir. The drones have detected no unauthorized movement in the past 24 hours. Nicholas nodded, but his shoulders remained tense. He knew the calm wouldn't last. Sagan was out there, plotting his next move. In the adjacent laboratory, Dr. Chen hunched over a microscope, examining a tissue sample. Nicholas approached, peering over her shoulder at the strange, iridescent cells. "How's our latest batch progressing?" he asked. Dr. Chen straightened, rubbing her tired eyes. "The gene splicing is holding stable. We've successfully integrated traits from electric eels, cephalopods, and even some bioluminescent deep-sea fish." Nicholas watched as a group of the newly created aquanauts swam through a massive training tank. Their movements were fluid and graceful, far beyond normal human capabilities. One of them unleashed a burst of electricity, stunning a target drone. "Impressive," Nicholas murmured, "but will it be enough?" Months passed as the aquanauts underwent rigorous training. Nicholas observed from a control booth as a team of the hybrid soldiers coordinated with a pod of voltasquids, using a combination of hand signals and bioelectric pulses to communicate. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Nicholas sprinted to the command center, his heart racing. "Report!" he shouted as he burst through the doors. Emma, now fully recovered from her previous injury, turned to him with a grim expression. "We've just received word from our deep cover agents. Sagan's on the move." Nicholas leaned over the central console, studying the incoming data. "He's perfected some kind of bioelectric weapon?" Emma nodded. "Our spies couldn't get all the details, but it looks like he's planning to use it to neutralize our defenses." Nicholas's eyebrows furrowed. "Alert all personnel. Deploy the aquanauts and activate our enhanced shielding. We need to be ready for anything." Days later, the ocean floor shook as Sagan's invasion fleet appeared on the horizon. Massive Zanari warships bristled with strange pulsing weapons that crackled with bioelectric energy. Inside the Aqua Citadel's command center, Nicholas barked orders as his forces scrambled to meet the threat. "Activate the outer shield grid. Launch countermeasures." The water outside the facility lit up with streaks of energy as Sagan's ships opened fire. The Aqua Citadel's defenses held, but alarms screamed as power levels fluctuated dangerously. "Sir, the shields can't take much more of this," a technician shouted over the din. Nicholas gritted his teeth. "It's time! Release the aquanauts and the voltasquids, and prepare Noctiluca for deployment." Outside, the battle raged. Aquanauts streaked through the water, their enhanced bodies allowing them to outmaneuver the Zanari ships. They worked in perfect synchronization with the Voltasquids, using combined bursts of bioelectricity to short out enemy systems. But Sagan's forces were relentless. Bioelectric blasts tore through the water, threatening to overwhelm Earth's defenders. Nicholas watched the battle unfold on the main view screen, his squeezing hard as he gripped the edge of the console. "We need to turn the tide. Now." He keyed in a series of commands, and a massive hangar bay at the base of the Aqua Citadel slowly opened. From its depths emerged a Noctiluca, a behemoth of genetically engineered flesh and advanced technology. The Leviathan's skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns as it surged toward Sagan's fleet. Nicholas held his breath, watching as Noctiluca approached the enemy ships. Suddenly, the creature unleashed a blinding strobe of light. The effect was immediate. Sagan's bioelectric weapons sputtered and died, leaving his ships vulnerable. "Now's our chance," Nicholas shouted. "All units, converge on the enemy fleet." The Aquanauts and Voltasquids swarmed the defenseless Zanari ships, systematically disabling them one by one. Nicholas watched with grim satisfaction as Sagan's mighty armada crumbled before Earth's defenders. As the last of Sagan's support ships retreated or fell silent, only the Zanari flagship remained. Nicholas leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the console as the enemy vessel made a desperate dash toward the volcanic vent fields. "He's trying to escape through the vents," Emma said, her voice tense. Nicholas allowed himself a small smile. "Not this time." He activated the comm system. "All units, deploy the containment field. Let's finish this." Energy barriers sprang to life around the vent field, trapping Sagan's ship. Nicholas watched as the Zanari vessel slowed, caught between the crushing depths and the impenetrable field. "Sir," Emma said, "we're receiving a transmission from Sagan's ship." Nicholas nodded. "Put it through." Sagan's face appeared on the screen, his alien features twisted with rage and defeat. "Thompson," he snarled, "you leave me no choice. I surrender." Nicholas stood before the reinforced glass of the interrogation chamber, his eyes fixed on the alien figure within. Sagan sat motionless, his iridescent skin pulsing with an eerie glow. The Zanari leader's multiple eyes blinked in an unsettling rhythm as Nicholas entered. "Let's cut to the chase, Sagan," Nicholas said, his voice firm. "What's your endgame here? Why Earth? Why our oceans?" Sagan's mandibles clicked, a sound that might have been laughter. "You humans are so desperately short-sighted. Your planet is but a stepping stone in the grand design of Zanari expansion." Nicholas leaned forward, palms flat on the table between them. "Cut the crap. We both know there are easier conquests out there. What's your real motive?" For a moment, Sagan's composure slipped. His eyes narrowed, and a low hiss escaped his breathing apparatus. "You want the truth, Thompson? Fine. Your miserable ball of water took everything from me. My status, my power, my future. Now, I'll take everything from you." The revelation hit Nicholas like a physical blow. He straightened, studying Sagan with new eyes. "This is about revenge? You're willing to sacrifice countless lives, Zanari and human alike, for a personal vendetta?" Sagan lunged forward, stopped only by his restraints. "You understand nothing. I am Zanari. We do not forget. We do not forgive. Your oceans will burn. Your species will kneel, and I will stand victorious over the ruins of your world." Nicholas stepped back, disgust written across his face. Without another word, he exited the chamber, the door hissing shut behind him. Hours later, Nicholas stood in the Aqua Citadel's command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the extent of the damage from their recent battle. Emma approached, her face grim. "How bad is it?" Nicholas asked, not taking his eyes off the screens. Emma sighed. "We've lost 3 outer defense platforms, and the eastern research wing is flooded, but the core systems are intact, and casualties were minimal thanks to our evacuation protocols." Nicholas nodded, his mind racing. "Double the patrols around the perimeter. I want every scrap of Zanari tech we salvaged analyzed and reverse-engineered. We need to be ready for their next move. As if on cue, an alert flashed across the main screen. A junior officer called out, "Sir, we're picking up encrypted Zanari transmissions. It looks like there's infighting among their ranks." Nicholas leaned in, studying the intercepted data. They're scrambling for power. Sagan's capture has left a vacuum. Emma's eyes widened. This could be our chance to strike while they're disorganized. Or it could mean we're about to face an enemy with something to prove, Nicholas countered. He turned to his team. I want round-the-clock monitoring of these transmissions. Any hint of a new leader emerging, I want to know about it immediately. Days turned to weeks as Nicholas threw himself into fortifying Earth's defenses. In a massive underwater cavern, he watched as the latest batch of aquanauts underwent combat trials. Their bodies rippled with bioluminescent patterns, half human, half marine creature. Dr. Chen approached, her lab coat billowing in the artificial currents. The latest genetic integrations are holding stable. We've successfully incorporated traits from the mantis shrimp for enhanced striking power and the box jellyfish for potent venom delivery. Nicholas nodded approvingly. Excellent work, Doctor. How soon can we deploy them to the new outposts? Before Dr. Chen could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Nicholas sprinted to the nearest comm panel. Report. Emma's voice crackled through, tight with tension. Multiple Zanari warships detected approaching Earth's atmosphere. They're led by a new flagship we've never seen before. Sir, it's massive. Nicholas's blood ran cold. It started. Initiate Defense Protocol Omega. All personnel to battle stations. As Nicholas raced toward the command center, the Aqua Citadel shuddered under the first wave of attacks. Through reinforced viewports, he caught glimpses of Zanari ships descending like a swarm of deadly insects. In the heart of the command center, Nicholas barked orders as holographic displays flickered with incoming data. Status on our outer defenses. A technician replied, his voice strained. The orbital platforms are engaging, sir, but the Zanari have some kind of new weapon. It's tearing through our shields like they're not even there. Nicholas watched in horror as entire sections of their carefully constructed defense network winked out of existence. On another screen, swathes of ocean went dark as marine life simply ceased to exist. The Leviathan, Nicholas breathed, remembering intel about the Zanari's rumored superweapon. He keyed the facility-wide comm. All units, fall back to secondary positions. Initiate scorched earth protocols. As chaos erupted around him, Nicholas made a decision that went against every instinct he had. He turned to Emma. Get Sagan. We're going to need him. Emma's eyes widened. Sir, you can't be serious. It's our only chance, Nicholas cut her off. Do it. Minutes later, Nicholas stood face to face with his nemesis once again. Sagan's eyes gleamed with malicious glee. Well, Thompson, come to beg for mercy. Nicholas's teeth clenched. I'm offering you a chance at revenge against the one who's taken your place and is about to succeed where you failed. Sagan went still, his interest piqued. Go on. Help us stop this attack, and I'll make sure you get a shot at Vicar. Otherwise, you rot in this cell while he claims all the glory. For a long moment, Sagan was silent. Then a slow, terrible grin spread across his alien features. Very well, human. Let's go hunting. As Nicholas led Sagan to the command center, he knew he was making a deal with the devil. But with Earth's oceans burning around them, he was out of options. Together, they began to formulate a plan that would either save humanity or doom it forever. The hidden fallback base buzzed with activity as Nicholas Thompson surveyed the remnants of his forces. Aquanauts rushed to and fro, tending to the wounded and repairing damaged equipment. The air hung heavy with the scent of ozone and salt water. Nicholas approached Sagan, who stood surrounded by a ring of armed guards. The Zanari's iridescent skin pulsed with an eerie glow as he turned to face the human leader. Speak! Nicholas commanded, his voice sharp. Sagan's multiple eyes blinked in rapid succession. Your victory over Vicar was impressive, but it has only deepened the schism within our ranks. Nicholas leaned in, his eyes narrowed. Explain. Two factions now vie for control, Sagan continued. The Imperials seek conquest through brute force. The Enlightened prefer subtler methods. Before Nicholas could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. Emma's voice crackled over the comm system. Multiple Zanari ships detected in orbit. They're preparing to attack. Nicholas sprinted to the command center, leaving Sagan under guard. He burst through the doors, immediately assessing the holographic displays. "Report," he barked. Emma pointed to a massive ship at the center of the Zanari fleet. "That's Admiral Kravak's flagship. The Imperials are making their move." Nicholas watched as energy weapons lanced down from orbit, striking their remaining outposts. Explosions bloomed across the ocean floor. "Sir," a technician called out, "we're detecting unauthorized access to our systems at multiple locations." Nicholas clenched his fists. "The Enlightened, they're already inside our defenses." He turned to Emma. "Prepare the Voltasquids for deployment. We'll use them to disrupt Kravak's fleet." As Emma rushed to comply, Nicholas addressed the room. "I want our best Aquanauts assembled immediately. We need to root out these enlightened infiltrators before they tear us apart from within." Hours later, Nicholas stood in the docking bay, watching as a team of Aquanauts prepared to launch. Their bodies rippled with bioluminescent patterns, muscles tense and ready for action. "Remember," Nicholas instructed, "trust no one. The Enlightened could have turned any of our people against us." The lead Aquanaut nodded grimly before donning his helmet. The team filed into their submersible, the hatch sealing with a hiss. As the vessel disappeared into the murky depths, Nicholas returned to the command center. The displays showed chaos unfolding across their remaining territories. Kravak's fleet pounded their defenses from above, while pockets of resistance erupted within their own ranks. Nicholas watched as a swarm of Voltasquids, guided by his most skilled handlers, surged towards the Zanari ships. The massive creatures pulsed with bioelectric energy, ready to unleash their devastating attack. "Sir," Emma reported, her voice tight, "we've lost contact with Outpost Gamma, and reports of sabotage are coming in from at least 3 other locations." Nicholas's mind raced, weighing his dwindling options. His gaze fell on the holding area where Sagan waited, a plan forming in his mind. "Bring Sagan to me," he ordered. "It's time we fight fire with fire." As guards escorted the Zanari leader into the command center, Nicholas steeled himself for what he knew would be a dangerous gamble. "Sagan," Nicholas said, his voice low and intense, "I'm offering you a chance to prove your worth. Use your knowledge of Zanari politics. Drive a wedge between the Imperials and the Enlightened." Sagan's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "And what do I gain from this arrangement?" Nicholas's eyes hardened. "Your continued survival. Nothing more." Sagan studied Nicholas for a long moment before nodding. "Very well, human. I shall play your game, for now." As Sagan began to work, accessing communication channels and crafting carefully worded messages, Nicholas couldn't shake the feeling that he had just made a deal with the devil. Days passed in a blur of constant battles and shifting alliances. Nicholas watched as Sagan's machinations bore fruit, turning the two Zanari factions against each other. Kravak's fleet engaged in furious combat with enlightened ships that decloaked in their midst. But even as the Zanari tore themselves apart in orbit, Nicholas sensed something was wrong. Reports of system malfunctions and security breaches increased at an alarming rate. He was studying a tactical display when the room plunged into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. "What's happening?" Nicholas demanded. Emma's fingers flew over her console. "Sir, we've lost control of our defense grid. Someone's locked us out." Realization dawned on Nicholas as the main screen came to life, showing Sagan's sneering face. "Did you really think you could trust me, Thompson?" the Zanari taunted. Nicholas watched in horror as their own weapons turned against the warring Zanari factions. In the confusion, a sleek ship detached from the base, a familiar figure visible through its viewports. "Sagan!" Nicholas snarled, banging his hand on the console. The Zanari's laughter echoed through the command center as his stolen vessel, loaded with Earth's most advanced bioweapons, disappeared into the depths. Nicholas stood motionless, the weight of his failure pressing down on him. He had allowed Sagan to outmaneuver them all, and now the fate of Earth's oceans hung in the balance. Taking a deep breath, Nicholas turned to face his battered and demoralized crew. "Sagan thinks he's won," he said, his voice steady and determined. "But we're not finished yet. I have a plan." Nicholas hardened his eyes as he surveyed the command center. The betrayal stung, but there was no time for self-pity. Sagan's escape with Earth's most advanced bioweapons had transformed him from a defeated enemy to an existential threat. "Emma," Nicholas barked, "I need a full inventory of our remaining assets, now." Captain Ramirez nodded, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. "We've got 3 squads of combat-ready aquanauts, 2 functioning submersibles, and a handful of prototype weapons. It's not much, sir." Nicholas studied the tactical display, his mind racing. "It'll have to do. Begin tracking Sagan's stolen vessel. I want to know where that bastard's headed." For days, they scoured the oceans, following faint energy signatures and encrypted transmissions. Sleep became a luxury as Nicholas pored over countless data streams. Finally, a breakthrough came. "Sir," a young technician called out, "we've pinpointed Sagan's location. He's in an uncharted region of the Pacific, coordinates 47.6 degrees, 126.3 degree or." Nicholas leaned in, studying the seafloor topography. "What do we know about this area?" Emma frowned. "Very little. It's a seismically active zone, lots of thermal vents, perfect cover for building a hidden base." "Which is exactly what Sagan's doing," Nicholas concluded. He turned to face his assembled team. "Listen up. We can't match Sagan's firepower, not with what he's stolen, but we've got one advantage. He thinks he's won." Nicholas laid out his plan, detailing a daring infiltration of Sagan's base. As he spoke, willpower settled over the room like a physical presence. Hours later, Nicholas stood in the hangar bay, watching as his elite Aquanaut team made final preparations. Their bodies rippled with newly integrated camouflage enhancements, skin shifting to match their surroundings. Emma approached, her expression grim. "The stealth submersible is ready, sir. But I have to ask, are you sure about this contingency protocol?" Nicholas met her gaze. "It's a fail-safe I never wanted to use, Emma. But if we can't stop Sagan here and now, the cost will be unimaginable." As the team boarded their vessel, Nicholas felt the weight of command bearing down on him. He knew that whatever happened next would change the face of Earth's oceans forever. The journey to Sagan's coordinates was tense, the submersible gliding silently through the inky depths. As they approached, the seafloor came alive with activity. Massive structures loomed out of the darkness, surrounded by patrols of mind-controlled human operatives and Zanari guards. Nicholas gave the signal, and his aquanauts slipped into the water. Their bio-enhanced bodies blended seamlessly with the environment as they navigated through tangles of thermal vents and fields of crustal fissures. Alarms blared as they breached the outer defenses. Emma's voice crackled over the comm. "Multiple hostiles incoming. Engaging now." The water erupted in chaos as Emma's team unleashed a barrage of specialized weaponry. Bioelectric pulses disabled Zanari energy shields, while focused sound waves shattered the minds of Sagan's human puppets. Nicholas pressed forward, dodging through the melee. He caught glimpses of Voltasquids thrashing in their containment chambers, their massive bodies pulsing with pent-up energy. "Almost there," Nicholas muttered, his enhanced vision picking out the path to the control hub. A massive explosion rocked the base. Through the commotion, Nicholas heard Emma's triumphant cry. "Voltasquid containment breached! They're loose!" The colossal creatures surged forth, their bioelectric blasts carving paths of destruction through Sagan's forces. In the confusion, Nicholas slipped into the control hub. He raced to the main console, fingers flying as he input the activation sequence for the contingency protocol. A final prompt appeared on the screen. "Warning, initiating tectonic destabilization. Confirm?" Nicholas hesitated for a fraction of a second, the weight of what he was about to do crashing down on him. Then he stabbed the confirmation key. The base shuddered as massive charges detonated across the seafloor. Magma burst forth from newly formed fissures, superheating the surrounding water. Toxic plumes of gas bubbled up, creating a hellish landscape. "All units, fall back!" Nicholas shouted into his comm. "Full retreat now!" He fought his way back through the disintegrating base, dodging collapsing structures and fleeing Zanari. The water around him churned violently as tectonic plates shifted and buckled. Nicholas caught a final glimpse of Sagan's command center crumbling into a massive sinkhole before he was pulled into the extraction submersible. As they raced away from the devastation, he watched the once pristine region of ocean transform into an apocalyptic nightmare. Days later, Nicholas stood on the deck of their last remaining outpost, staring out at the ash-choked waters. The Zanari threat had been neutralized, but at a terrible cost. Miles of ocean lay dead, entire ecosystems wiped out in the name of humanity's survival. Emma joined him, her face haggard from sleepless nights. "The last of the Zanari ships have left orbit, sir. Earth is safe." Nicholas nodded, feeling every one of his years. "But at what price, Emma? What have we become?" As the sun set on this new, scarred world, Nicholas knew his time as a defender of Earth's oceans had come to an end. He had one last duty to perform, to ensure the next generation of aquanauts would learn from their mistakes and protect what remained of their once beautiful seas.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.